Thank you very much, John. Greetings, everyone, from Southern California. So we have 25 minutes, and we're going to talk a little bit about Bioclinica. We're going to talk a lot about our clinical trial management system and e-TMF. So for those of you unfamiliar with Bioclinica, we have been in business for about 25 years, depending on which entity was bought and acquired and started. But today we're about a $500 million revenue company. We have 400 clients. We've supported over 4,000 trials and supported every phase of study in pharma, biotech, and device. And we work with the very largest of companies all the way to the small virtual company up in Palo Alto. So these are all the things that the Bioclinica does, right? But today, we're going to talk about the clinical trial management system. But understand that all of these software pieces and services are unified on the back end, which means that you enter your information once and it goes to whatever system that it needs to go to in order to help you conduct your trials more efficiently. So our CTMS system is now, it's on 3.6.1, and it's been in production for 15 years. And we have conducted more than 2,000 studies on this, and there are currently 40 companies using it. So in the history, there's been probably about 70, but some of those companies have merged, gone away, but we're going to see this number jumped over 50 real soon because the offering that we're putting on the marketplace has been very attractive. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a couple of minutes. And of course, a CTMS is only as good as the data inside of it. And we have over 500 integrations coming into our system, which means this is very capable and it is ready for production. So, clinical trial management system. What do you want out of this, right? You've got, if you're looking at a study, you want to measure your milestones, right? You want to be able to maybe manage your inventory. You want to be able to manage payments. And if the CTMS has a monitor visit report ability, right? You want to be able to help your monitors with their site visits. You want to manage deviations, and you want to be able to manage those documents, right? Now, if you want a system that actually will manage your sites, your investigators, and your subsites, and allow you to report across studies, well, that's going to require a different type of software, right? So that's going to require a big relational database. And so when you actually, if you're saying that's what you want, okay, you're really talking about bringing in something like Medidata, Viva, Perceptive, and Oracle, right? Those are the big competitors in this space where you're bringing in infrastructure software to help you throughout all of your clinical trials and be able to reuse all that information and reuse all those workflows. So we are amongst those solutions. If that's what you want, those are the competitors you need to be looking at. Now, Jeremiah on our call, he's a very humble man, but he's actually really bright. And he was the original architect on this product oh so long ago. And so they created all of the functionality in this CTMS that was needed. But then what he did is that he made every element in the Bioclinica database a native SharePoint content type. What does that mean, right? That means that there's two-way communication going on between Bioclinica and SharePoint. Okay, so that means that we spend our development time, right, working on the CTMS and its core functionality. And we utilize Microsoft for the ability to create reports, extend workflows, and create portals. So basically what we're doing is we're using SharePoint to create site portals, monitor portals that you can replicate and put out for each study. So your monitors will see a study portal that looks the same for each study if you implement it that way. Moreover, that when you have SharePoint, then that extends into the Microsoft suite of products. With this, all of a sudden you can use Outlook, Outlook's calendaring and contacts abilities to manage your CTMS contacts. Okay, you can, if there's a spreadsheet you just love and don't want to part with in managing some aspect of the trial, that can be configured into SharePoint and be sharing data with the CTMS. And then, of course, the best solution example is the monitor visit report. We take your monitor visit report that is most likely in Microsoft Word. We configure that so that the information for the trip report, all the deviations, right, all the SAEs, all that's entering the monitor visit report in a Word document. The monitor fills it out and uses all of the abilities of Microsoft, submits that back through SharePoint, and that information comes back into the CTMS. You'll see in just a couple minutes. But this is a completely unique offering on the marketplace. And the thing that makes it special is that you're offering the functionality to the users in the way that they already work. Okay, they're already using that monitor visit report, but now that information is live and being submitted into CTMS. It's completely unique, and I think you'll find it very intriguing, as will your users. Now, so you're taking a look at this and saying, okay, that's great. Why would I choose this over Viva? Why would I choose this over metadata? Okay, we got a couple things going for us, right? Not only in the product performance and its features, but also we have a $100,000 starter package. Okay, so in 3 weeks with $100,000, you are ready to go into production. We're not asking for $1 million up front or $2 million. We're asking for $100,000. And then at that point, you are on usage-based pricing. Okay, we will only charge you for the number of studies and sites that we are supporting, period. Excuse me, users, studies and users that we're supporting. And so if you're going through a lull period, you don't pay anything. If you're going through a high watermark, well, then you're going to pay a little bit more. But at the end of the month, you're simply invoiced for what you used during that time. That's unique. So the way you use it is sort of like this, right? You've got your CTMS admins that are going to be forming studies, forming payments, and managing the study, interacting with Bioclinica CTMS, and your stakeholders, right? Your monitors and your sites, they're going to be interacting through SharePoint, okay? And then finally, we have formed an e-TMF based on SharePoint. And right now we're in the process of validating this, and this will be part of our product in Q4. However, it does work right now, and we are offering this as part of the CTMS package. We're including it. I don't want to use the word free, but we're not charging for it. So with that, I am going to turn this over to Jeremiah, and we're going to get a quick demonstration of this application. Jeremiah, can you take control?
The Bioclinica website come through?
Yes, we got it.
Ah, great. Perfect. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about some of the products we have and the way that we've been adjusting to the global pandemic. What I'll do is I'll focus on the monitoring use case that Rich described. We've seen a large increase in companies doing centralized monitoring as well as asking about how the system supports more remote monitoring scenarios. So we'll talk about some of that as well. So what I'll do is I'm going to log directly into the core Bioclinica CTMS. This is a completely web-based system, which is nice for when you're working with monitors. There's nothing to install locally on their machines. And of course, it's Office Smart, so it plugs right into the connected Microsoft Office products. And that's a big difference for us. Most CTMS options will have people log directly into the system and fill out their site visit report as a form. What we do is we track the master deviation list, the safety event log, the action items, and we do that with the master lists and libraries in the CTMS, but we leave it open as to the site visit report templates and where and how those monitors can complete those activities. So you'll see here, here's one of the visits that the CTMS is tracking. It's going to track who the visit's assigned to, what type of visit it is. And in addition to pulling in the values like the action items and the deviations, it's also going to populate itself as these actions are being taken. So you can do the performance monitoring, tracking the KPIs, how many days is it taking monitors to submit their report drafts, how many days does it take them to get through the review approval cycle and apply the 21 CFR Part 11 compliant e-signatures. So keep this in mind. The only other thing I'll mention while I'm here in the CTMS is that the payments module feeds off of all of that activity. So the information coming in through EDC integration, the information being submitted by the site visit reports upon approval, the system handles all of that in an automated way so that monitors aren't having to re-enter the same information multiple places, and they're certainly never having to transcribe manually what they've captured in their site visit report back into the CTMS. And based on the consolidation of all of that site and subject activity, it now has everything that it needs in order to process through the payment holdback percentages, site overhead, exchange rates, and ultimately spit out at the end of a payment period exactly what is owed across the different sites and the vendors that are being tracked. So it's definitely something that provides a lot of automation. And just like Rich talked about with everything going on globally, the ability to pay as you go and only pay for what you use is a major advantage, and it really lowers the risk that companies incur by dipping their toes into the CTMS waters. So it's a great solution for the small and medium-sized companies that are struggling with some of those consolidation of data, consolidation of processes, and regulatory compliance considerations that are so critical, especially now with everything going on globally. So just like Rich showed on that slide, we have the core CTMS, which is something that provides a huge amount of value, but we're not limited to just the CTMS product. And the fact that it is an Office Smart solution allows all of the information about action items and milestones to be available through these connected Office study workspaces. And just think of this as a landing page for people involved in this particular study. You can see here based on the activities panel that I have all of the same information as if I was logged into the CTMS. The difference is I don't have to be trained to go log into that system as a monitor or as someone just working in the office environment, maybe even as a non-employee, as a contractor. I can get controlled, targeted access to the information that the organization wants to make available to me, but without having to go be trained or log into the core system. And as Rich described, it gives me that maximum user environment because it's just the office-centric toolbars and the type of systems I already use every day. And a good example of that is if we crack open the site visit report library. So as a monitor preparing for my upcoming site visit, I would come here, I could create a new site visit report off of the template, and it would store it here securely in this library with all of the version history, electronic signatures, as I mentioned, that are 21 CFR Part 11 compliant. And it's really the location where as a monitor, I can very quickly and in a straightforward manner generate my visit reports as Word documents, and then even take them offline and complete them on an airplane or in a hospital surrounded by radiology equipment, or even my air card. isn't going to give me an internet connection, I can still work. And that's the beauty of having these site visit reports as Word documents. And this is something where we have default templates that organizations can use, but they can also map their own existing templates if they want monitors to have that familiar experience and work on the same templates that they're already using. And this is where we start to talk about some of those centralized and remote monitoring capabilities. Certainly the way the CTMS consolidates all of this activity allows for the tracking and the oversight and the governance, making sure that action items aren't buried in these documents, that they're being extracted by the system, and they can then be assigned to people associated with due dates, and of course reported on if they're not being handled in a timely manner. So really the CTMS becomes that early warning system as the information is being collected to notify people of when anything's different than expected or deviating from the plan or exceeding a certain threshold, and that will generate automated alerts to warn people that something's in need of further investigation. And that all is possible because of these labels that you see. So see that little study name label, site name? That's that mapping that I described that makes this a smart Word document. So it pre-populates itself when it's first created by the monitor as a huge time saver, but also to promote the different naming conventions and standards that you have in your system. And then if I scroll to the bottom here, apologies for the wild scrolling, this is where you have the ability to create new deviations, new action items. All of these values are being populated from the CTMS and loaded into this document. So even in an offline mode, I could still complete this. And I have the exact same options that I would have as if I was logged into the CTMS. And these are the values that are going to be populated automatically upon approval and e-signing of this site visit report. So just like the CTMS auto-populated the document with everything it knew about the site and about the upcoming site visit, it will do the reverse, and it'll take all the action items I've closed or any new ones I've created, and it will generate those on the master CTMS list so that next month or whenever my next visit is, I'm able to pull those out when I create that site visit report, and it's just that constant churning of data. And that's something that customers take advantage of course, and it's also something that has been changing given the global pandemic and the adjustments to the working environment that a lot of these monitoring groups using the system are going through. We've actually been working with customers to provide them with some no-cost updates to their site visit report templates. So if they need to capture some additional fields based on the fact that they're shifting to a more remote monitoring model, or if there's additional data that they need to capture and map back into the CTMS based on that, that's something that we're working with them to make sure that we can support those new scenarios and help streamline operations. And we want to provide, you know, real value as a trusted technology partner to the companies that are using the system.
Okay, Jeremiah, you got 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, that's perfect because I'm going to wrap it up and let's leave time for some questions. Yeah, thanks for the time check, Rich. That's perfect. So that shows how the core CTMS, here I'll just put up this slide that Rich showed earlier. The core CTMS is in total control of the information. It tracks based on the permissions and the audit trail, all those changes being made through the connected office products. And of course, we were one of the monitors down here coming in through Word, filling out site visit reports. And the last thing I'll mention just in closing is while this Office Smart model of CTMS is our biggest advantage and differentiator, and certainly it's what we've staked our claim in the market on, it is also our biggest challenge. And really just educating folks about what it means to be an Office Smart CTMS and some of the misconceptions that are out there. This is not a CTMS built on top of SharePoint. The product itself is fully built and tested by Bioclinica. It's simply that it can, in a graceful and compliant manner, expose the information safely through the connected SharePoint and Office products. And people will ask, well, why do that? What's the point of that? Why can't people just all go log into CTMS? And certainly they could, if that's what a company wants to do. We just want to have that additional option for the executives that just want the interactive drill down dashboards and performance scorecards, and for the monitors that are filling out site visit reports and closing action items and updating calendars. You know, it's just, there's a whole host of people that don't need or want to be trained on CTMS, and especially if they're an external non-employee, but they're still a study stakeholder that needs insight into the information, companies are not interested in training those people to come log into their internal CTMS. So what better environment to give them the information that they need out of CTMS to complete those tasks and activities than the office-centric framework that all business and clinical professionals are already familiar with and use every day. And that's obviously why we did it, and that's the value that the user communities get out of the Office Smart model of CTMS.
JR, can you just quickly show the e-TMF just to show where we're going with that? I mean, you don't need to get into the functionality, but just show the document library.
Yeah, and it's a quick conversation only because yeah, that's a good call, Rich. We've basically leveraged the way that we handle the site visit reports and the e-signatures and the workflow and the alerts, and we've expanded it to now include a secure, stable, compliant document storage location for all of the site initiation and other regulatory documents. And what makes it work is that it plugs into the existing framework for these documents that CTMS is already tracking. So CTMS knows that we need to collect a CV from Dr. Diamond for her participation at Site 1 as the PI in Study 5. It knows that. It creates a placeholder automatically for that. And so all we're doing now is we're giving people a place to securely upload the documents and plug into that existing context. And if you already have an e-TMF or a document storage location, that's great. Just like it always has, the CTMS can plug into that. You don't have to remove it or tear it out. We've just seen a large rise in the companies that are looking for the combo package of a CTMS, e-TMF from a single vendor. And so we want to be able to provide that. And we still have a lot of e-TMF partners. I don't mind calling them out here. Organizations like Montrium and Arrivis and Adaptive Clinical and Flex Global. They're all amazing and they're fantastic. And we are not trying to build a full-featured e-TMF product to replace or compete with those solutions. This is purely for the organizations that are using our CTMS that don't already have an alternate location to store the document files. They're able to do that now as part of a document handling e-TMF module within our CTMS product.
All right, right on. And then we didn't get to it today. A lot more features here, including the ability to manage shipments. Works very well for device companies. It might not be enough for a phase 3 pharma trial. Certainly can manage shipments of devices. And then this also helps calculate monthly payments. In fact, the payments ability in this system will most likely cost justify the entire system. All right, we are done. Are there any questions out there?
We don't have any yet, but I want to thank you for being on time. That's well done. I was going to ask you if, are there any future products or services that you'd like to integrate going forward? I mean, you have a very robust platform, a very integrated system. Just curious, like if you're looking forward, is there anything else that's on your wish list that you'd like to build into the system?
Oh, thanks, John. Thanks, John. So, so I was brought back to the company last July, and we've entered in a very, very robust roadmap. We've doubled our operational capacity. That means people. And we've doubled our development staff. That means people, right? So we have real people working on these products, and you're going to see significant enhancements to all of our products. I guess the sneak peek will be EDC. We are coming out with the ability for customers to build their own studies. And this system is going to be very attractive because it's very simple yet powerful. And that pricing model should be exactly what the small to mid-tier companies need. So so with that, please reach out to us. You can see all of this information and get in touch with us on LinkedIn, just at Bioclinica, or visit our website at bioclinica.com. Thanks a lot, John.